Hey everybody, happy Monday. So nice to see you all. This is a really special Monday for me as we have another guest in-house, and I have to say I've been excited, I've been nervous, I've been waiting for this day, and I'm so glad that you could all join us. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jackie G, or Jacqueline, and I'm with Gwartzman's Art Supplies here in Toronto. If you get a chance to visit us, we are located in between Kensington Market and Chinatown. We are, to me, in the best, aside from Manitoulin Island, the best place to be in all of Canada for anybody who wants to visit. And thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. If you want to connect with us, now for today it's going to be a little difficult. The camera's a little bit further away, so we'll probably do a lot of chatting. I'm probably tell Anong that once in a while we're going to wave hi to everyone just because it's going to be easier than trying to answer all of your questions. If you do ever want to reach out, if there's something that you'd like to know that we haven't discussed today, you can reach us at info@gwartzmans.com. If you'd like to check our website, if you want to see all the amazing Beam products, which of course is our topic today, and Anong, then you can check out our website, gwartzmans.com. If there's something that you don't see that you're interested in, let us know. We're trying to keep up with stock. And of course, it is busy, and Anong is busy, and she does her best to make sure that everything gets out to all of us. So I wanted to...
And I have to talk to the passport office.
Okay, so we're going to take a break for a second because Anong has to take a call. You know what? You can leave Anong.
Pardon?
If you want.
Yes,
Oh, wait a minute. Anong, 1 second. Take off your mic.
Just one
Hold
second,
on, everybody. This is what happens with a live, so we're going to just take a break for a second, and I'm going to tell you something about our guest, and I'm sure she'll want to correct me and fill in everything else later on. So I've had the pleasure of knowing Anong for a few years now, since she started her first manufacturing of her paints. And I remember the first time that she visited us with her sons, and we were talking about how her sons were involved in her first runs and what she was doing, and I was really excited to connect with her. Her passion, her interest in what goes into the manufacturing, how they source the materials, what they do to make it. I was just totally taken aback and absolutely interested in us being a part of her travels in manufacturing, what it was like, how did she got started. And I have to tell you that each time I've heard Anong speak, I'm totally in awe again of what she does in her world, in her manufacturing, and how she even has time to create her own body of artwork. It does, as you all know as artists, and we're just going to let her connect, and you can see one of her sons is here behind us, sort of keeping track of her. And how she even has time as an artist to create her own body of work. And I know I've seen posted, as many of you have, where Anong has different art shows. I don't know where she has the time. So how I would describe Anong, and I'm sure she will be able to tell us how she describes herself. She's a mother, a daughter, an artist, a paint manufacturer, a lecturer, environmentalist, and also I include a lover of Manitoulin Island.
Absolutely.
I'm sure she's got her own list, and those may not be entirely the order of how she would describe herself. I'm so lucky that we have her with us today. That's the end of my notes because I want you to hear from Anong about her. We're going to talk a little bit about her paint manufacturing, how she got started, what's been involved, the process, and also to let you hear about her. Her time that she spends making her art, what she does. And I'm not going to take the floor from her anymore. I'll probably throw in a couple questions once in a while. Okay. Thank you for joining us. Welcome, Anong.
Thank you. I'm really thrilled to be here. This is one of my favorite spots to visit when I was a kid. I'd come in here with my parents when they were buying art supplies. And to be able to get to know the store and the family in this way over time has just been really a real highlight of my business. Yeah. So yeah, I am a painter, and it's really hard for me to trace where all of the things begin, because they seem to have always been there and always be coming out as focuses in my life. But as a painter raised by painters, oh, can't hear me. Maybe I'll come a little bit closer. Okay. As a painter raised by painters, I was seeing my parents practice, and my own kind of developed really at the same time that my paintmaking practice developed. And that was when I was becoming a mother. And I was expecting my second son, Luke's, and I wanted to keep painting. And it was around that time, in envisioning how I would build a painting, I felt like a new door had opened for me, that I could see my own approach. And before that, all of my paintings, like everyone who starts out, they look like someone else's, because you don't know what you're doing. You're just learning how to create something, and you don't have your own style. So around the time I was expecting my second son, I felt that opening for me, that I had a new way to explore painting. And I felt really challenged by that, because I was pregnant and I didn't want to use paints that had toxicity issues. Or at the time I was doing oil painting, so that's quite an issue with solvents. And that was kind of the first beginning of making a paint that I could use while I was pregnant and that I felt confident about. So I started making oil paints and experimenting with, there's some really old books on paint making techniques from pre-plastics and pre-manufacture, like older books with recipes. And I found some recipes for different oil mediums, and I started experimenting with hemp oil and different things. And that was really thrilling. I did that for all of those early years. And I didn't really see it how it didn't go out to sharing with other people beyond doing it, making my own paint for my own practice. And then it was probably the first paints that I made to share and to sell to other people were oil paints. But it was kind of a challenging way to start a business, because oil painting is not as prevalent as other styles of painting, precisely because of those issues. So because of toxicity or heavy solvents, things like that. So even though the paints I was making, they weren't that way, there was a big barrier to cross there. And I started looking back at watercolor. And I had never been really a watercolor artist. Like my watercolor paintings are very naive and kind of childlike. And I grew up with these really stellar, like my mother was a gifted watercolor artist, and my dad too. They both made watercolor seem not really attainable to me. So I think that in hindsight, that gave me more of an insight into maybe a beginner's mind as far as watercolor, and also understanding a lot of the things that prevent people from trying. Actually, as an artist raised by artists, I didn't think that I could mix colors for the longest time, like until deep in my 30s. That's, that was really because I had the hand-me-down kit. Like I had all this paint, this leftover paint, that paint, and they were all favorite colors of other people. So I never really got the full explanation of how you blend colors, and that there are warm and cool colors and primaries. And my take to art school paint set was all these hand-me-down colors that didn't jive. So all of my mixes would go so muddy and they would be unsatisfying to me. It wasn't what I was really looking for. So later on, after I'm fully into paint making, then I realized, oh, I just had the wrong colors. Like decades of feeling like I had been to like art residencies with international artists, and I remember watching them blending their own colors. Like, wow, must be nice.
I was going to say, that was when you were in Japan, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I was in China and also in Europe. So
okay.
I had the good fortune to go to different artist residencies as a participant and also as a kind of facilitator, instructor. It was the beginning of me understanding that I had a love of art that went beyond my own practice. And I think that outside of enjoying art, making it myself, I really enjoy other people's practices. I collect other people's artwork. I follow other people's career. I curate shows of other people. And I find it really satisfying to be involved in other people's practices that way. And directly, when I worked with a printmaker who worked with my dad, and he was delivering these workshops in mainland China, and I had the chance to assist him there. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. We were teaching people how to make monotypes off of glass in a technique that Degas used. And it was really fun. I got to see the art district in Beijing and the 798 art district, and was in Shanghai and Hong Kong and Shenzhen and Hunan province, so like quite a lot of places. Wow. And also in Slovenia, close to northern Italy, and Hvar in Croatia. So those experiences showed me at each place there was maybe 30 or 40 international artists, and to see really that even the most like really established artists all struggle with so many of the same issues and so many of the same insecurities about painting and insecurities about reception and what are people going to think and how do I try something new, and having that block for creative production. And I really enjoyed facilitating that and talking to people about their process, and I kind of became like almost too good at it, and sometimes people would say, and then you're just here to do that, and I was like, no, I'm painting over here too. So that was really neat. And when I came back from that, I had the notion to, I had a lot of upheaval in my personal life that I've been pretty candid about before, that I had a really difficult relationship that I had to leave behind, and it was really chaotic and kind of massively stressful and all of those things. But when I left with my children, I had little guys then, and I felt absolutely renewed. It was shortly around a period that I had gone to an art residency, and I feel like I've always been falling in it, being closely in love with paint and color and art, and those are always the best part of my life when I have those times. And then sometimes if I go too far away from that, it's not healthy or good for me.
So you found that creating the paint has helped you in your art practice?
Absolutely.
Has it changed the style of your paintings?
Yeah, completely. And it was really funny. I remember the first painting that I did after I had really started becoming involved with, when you start making paint, you don't instantly have a full spectrum of colors. You don't instantly have a whole rainbow. It took a really long time to get to the point where we had 10 colors. And we could say, oh yeah, here's the yellow, we have a yellow, and oh, there is a blue. You know, it took quite a while. And it was really all-consuming at that point to get to that point of having at least 10 colors. And when I finally came back to painting, I noticed that the first painting I did was like, it was like a riot of color. It was so bright, and it's actually on display at the Woodland Cultural Centre right now, and it's going to be touring to Midland Gallery, and it had been started by the Campbell House here in Toronto, with the University of Toronto, and it was just so vivid. It still really surprises me to see the paintings, because I paint them in my studio, which isn't particularly well lit. And the first paintings I painted in the garage. It wasn't particularly well lit. It's just in these workshop spaces. So when they finally make it into a gallery on the wall, they're really, really bright.
Now, I think I saw a picture of that one. How large is that? The one that's at Woodbine?
There's one really large one that's 8 feet by 12 feet. And it has a big spread of birds flying across the sky and a river, and it's kind of an assembled landscape of kind of imagined things and put together from collaged photo elements, and then I paint around them so that you can't really tell where the painting and the photography blend together. That's kind of one of my satisfying, it's like a mental ASMR for the mind. This photo blends into painting, blends back into photo.
I think I've seen that from your earlier work as well, where you've worked with collage and painting.
Yeah, well, actually, when I went to art school, I didn't go for any painting. I
really?
did, yeah, and it's funny because I went to OCAD. I had one painting class, maybe two. I did painting from memory and desire, and I failed. Which, you know, is just one of those funny stories, right? I think I failed because I was a bit of maybe I was just too cool and nobody could teach me, or I don't know what it was. I was just a 20-something kid in Toronto, and I know what I'm doing. Yeah.
I think a lot of art students are like that. That's what makes them great. A lot of them great artists.
Yeah, that's true. And my dad, I remember him laughing about you could tell what stage career an artist is in by two things. That when you first start out, it's all black. And then the second thing is when you start out, all of your titles are heavily poetic, like memory of a river crossing in June, and the feeling of the mist on my skin. And then later, when you're an mid-career to established artist, you're like, peach, blue square, left top corner. Green stripe, red dot.
Okay, so should we ask you where you are now in your career?
Yeah, I'm at that. Yeah, like barn, white car.
Yeah, I think I've seen that as some of the titles that you have.
Yeah.
But at least we understand where it's come from.
Yeah, that's
right. We understand what you're really trying to say, and I'm sure we know that there's a story behind it.
Yeah, but I remember that I had the long flowery titles too, and I did have those paintings in my OCAD days, all black, lots of black.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Mm-hmm. But I guess every artist goes through stages where they change the process or what colors that they want to use. Just like now you said that you're going with very bright colors and you've expanded your palette. I was going to ask you about your paints. We have a few samples here for just someone to see. We actually have a very large display on our main floor, but one of the staff had spent so much time setting it up that we didn't want to dismantle it because it really does show off all of Anong's product. But how many colors do you have now in your collection? How many would anyone be able to see?
It's growing and changing, but it's about 45 45 colors. And we're really excited because we had 27 colors that were ACMI approved, and that's the Art and Creative Materials Institute. And now we have our full range. So I still haven't even, it's so new, I haven't even counted it, but our full range of, I think it's maybe 48 colors, is all approved for Prop 65 compliant in California and tested for children, use by children. And it still means you shouldn't eat it. It's still made out of rocks. You should not put rocks in your eye. You should not eat rocks or rub it on your skin. But if that happened, it would be all right.
Well, I know it'd be okay. You do have your, actually one of the staff, and we did ask our staff before Anong came in that if they had any questions that they could ask, or that I would be able to ask on their behalf. You know, there's so many things that we can read about and you know, wonder. And so one of them has asked, how many in your team? I know that your sons help, so we should mention that is a real family type business.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because we're just about to start talking about the team more, and we're figuring out how to share everybody on Instagram more. Everyone's pretty shy, and they're used to like pushing me out first, like go tell him. But it is a really big team effort at this point, and it's a real family effort. So first of all, I'd like to acknowledge my daughter-in-law, and she runs our workshop and keeps everything humming along. So she knows what we have and where it has to go and what we're low on and what I have to make and what everyone has to do. So she keeps everything humming along. Elena Cranston. And she's the mom of Colton, Robert Dennis Cranston, who's almost 2, and he's our shop cheerer honor. And he's been in our workshop. Elena started working there when he was 2 months old. So he was too young for daycare, and he was in the shop every day with her from 2 months on. So he feels right at home in there. He signs packages, the customs declarations, and he puts them in the bins, and he's just a joy to be around. And then we have Elena's grandmother, Sally, and Sally is the real quality control behind all of the packaging and wrapping. And Sally is just really keeps everybody, she's a grandmother presence in the shop that really keeps everybody feeling connected and solid and supported. And Jacqueline supports with packing and wrapping all of the packages so that they shipping them all out on time. And Lindsay Taboski is a new helper, and she does a lot of the keeping up with messages and putting paints so that they look really pretty, where the paint goes into what we have.
Like some of these?
Yeah, containers. So that's our home team. And then part of why we've been able to grow and keep up with paints that people would like is that we developed a way that everyone could do their work wherever they felt comfortable in these different zones. So across the street at the sawmill that my boyfriend owns, Corbier Lumber, they produce all of our wood pieces out of reclaimed pieces of pine and birch. So over there, Dennis oversees Francis, who's used to work out in the bush as a foresting guy, and now he does all of the dots and filling for these pallets. And it's a lot. He definitely keeps busy. He's always saying, oh, these, oh, no, oh, more. And he works in an amazing sawmill. The walls are covered in all these different antique tools. And we're going to be bringing you some pictures from over there as well. And his friend Luke, who's also a forestry worker, he does the samples that go out, the small dots. All of the paint goes in over there. And then these interesting little cups that we use, that's kind of the answer to half pants. We have that done as a take-home work project. So ladies from our community can come to our shop and they pick up a box of papers and labels, and they do all these at home. And I think it was important for us to come up with something like that, because so much of my life in that area, it had been really hard to find employment that was flexible as a new mom, or as a mom, or as a person who had a lot of other things to do. So these ladies can take these boxes and they make them at home, whatever in between all of the other things they do. And when they're done, there's a flat rate, and they can make more than... It takes 2 hours to do a box, and we pay $40, so it pays $20 an hour if they do it like that. But they can stretch it out over as long as they want, and it comes out to the same. And we also work with the local Mennonite community there, so some of those ladies do that as well. And then my boyfriend Dennis, his brother-in-law and sister have a wood shop around the corner, and they take all of the offcut and reclaimed pieces of wood and make them brand new and shiny and beautiful and finished with hemp or beeswax, and they stamp them. They do all that over there. So it's a lot of people.
That's a real community effort.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Everybody knows each other really well and knows what they're doing, and it's a really great team to work with. I just absolutely love seeing everybody.
That's why you have more time to paint now.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I have more time to paint. Yeah.
Now, do you have any shows coming up of your work?
Just this one exhibition that we're really fortunate has been going different places more than it started out. So it'll be in the Ojibwe Cultural Foundation, which is where I used to work as the director for a while, and then after that it goes to Midland, which
Wow.
I'm probably not saying it right, but...
And then what happens to the show after that?
I think that's it. And then it's going to go to Gallery Gevic. That's in Yorkville, is my art representative, my gallery.
Okay. We should mention that. So if you ever would like to see Anong's work, and say it again, which gallery is it?
Gallery Gevic in Yorkville.
There you go. Yep. So you can absolutely check it out after you come and visit us here on Spadina Avenue. You can head over to Yorkville. It's not a short, it is a short jaunt, and see Anong's work at Gallery Gevic. So that's great. Do you ever work on smaller pieces, or do you find that it's easier for you to work on much larger scale? Yeah,
I think I really do like the bigger pieces, because it almost feels like you're inside them, and that's the feeling I really like about them. And it kind of brings me back to the question you asked there about paint making and painting. And one of the moments in between painting and paint making in the beginning, I had been out on a boat with my boyfriend, and we had been going around in the North Channel, and it's just so beautiful out there. And it made me remember being out in that region with my dad when I was a little kid, that he collected rocks there. And I was collecting rocks there for making paint. And I came back into my studio and I made paint out of those rocks. And then I was painting the rocks that I had seen in the North Channel with the paint made out of the rocks of those rocks. I had this very circular moment of, it was very meta, I guess, of painting rocks out of rocks made of those rocks. And it was pretty neat. So that happens now quite a lot, because every bit of paint that we make, although we source pigments from all over, there's a bit of Manitoulin limestone works its way into all of our recipes. So there's a bit of Manitoulin is just going all over the place and looking really beautiful in all of your paintings.
I think that's great. Well, Anong has a lot going on in Toronto today, and I don't really want to keep her from all of her other commitments that she has going. If you have any questions, I do see one here where someone is asking if the exhibition is available online. Is that, for, I guess, for Woodland?
Yeah, the exhibition is available online. There was an artist talk I did at the AGO about some of it, and there's a walkthrough with the curator Elke Weinstein and Elizabeth Driver, the director. They walk through and see it in this really amazing gallery space. It happened all through the COVID lockdowns, so they made extra effort to make it visible online. So there's also an online catalog that you can see and different walkthroughs.
So we'll try and answer some of the questions when we're offline. As I say, it's a little bit hard for me to see some of them now.
Yeah,
I'm going to thank you all. I'm going to say hi. We're going to do a wave to thank you all for joining us because I could see all the waves coming up while we were chatting. Mm-hmm. I want to thank you all for joining us today. As I say again, it's always a treat for me. Every time I see something posted by Anong, there's always something new to learn about her family, about Manitoulin Island, about Beam paints, most importantly. If you have any questions about anything that we've chatted about today or anything about the product that you would like to know more about, you can, of course, follow Beam Paints and you can see all the wonderful things that they do. You can also check out our website, gwartzmans.com, and you can see all of the products. I know we do have at least 1 or 2 shipments that are arriving of all the new items and so many items that we've been out of stock on. You can come in and check out our display because it really does look beautiful, and everything that you can see of a sample of what Beam Paints is all about. Again, it's made here in Canada, which I always like to point out. It's quite important. It's a woman-owned company, which is also, to me, equally as important. Thank you, Anong.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. And I look forward to chatting with you again, and hope you all have a great week. And just please keep on creating. Bye-bye for now.
Super. Bye.